So HFM is a powerful application that allows you to manage financial information, and that financial information presents itself in the form of metadata that relates to the dimensions, and parked within the metadata is the actual data values themselves. So to give meaning to a data value, we need to look at the metadata or the dimensions that wrap that data. So here we're not just looking at an isolated number, we're looking at the actual data for a particular period of time, for a particular year. It also resides as a purchase account, and it's being analysed by custom dimensions as products and customers. And the data is sitting in London. So when we talk about metadata, we're talking about the dimensions that exist within HFM. And when we select our dimensions, a lot of the time in HFM, you're using what's called the point of view. So here you can see the profit and loss form. This is a data form that allows you to easily review this data. As an administrator, you've built the data form. You've defined that the accounts go in the rows, periods are displayed in the columns. And then on the point of view, where our end user selects the metadata or the dimensions, you've hard-coded a number of dimension choices. So the user can only choose the year, the period, and the entity. So as an administrator, we can make the selection of metadata easier for our end users. When we look at the HFM dimensions, most of them are hierarchical, and most of them will aggregate. So for example, the chart of accounts and the custom combinations or the custom dimensions are all hierarchical and aggregate automatically, as does the period of time that we can see here. The entity dimension is the dimension that we run a consolidation on. So the entity dimension will eventually aggregate, but it only does that when we're ready and we choose to consolidate. So HFM is full of hierarchical dimensions. And because we're working with lots of hierarchical dimensions, we need methods to select multiple types of dimension members. So we can choose a parent member, and if we've defined a parent member, we could choose the children of that parent. So if we looked at selecting gross profit in this example, the parent of gross profit is EBITDA. Whereas if we had gross profit selected and we said, give me the children of gross profit, that would give us gross revenue and cost of sales. If we said, give me the descendants of gross profit, that would show me everything below gross profit. These are effectively member lists that you can work with when you're selecting HFM dimensions, particularly useful with large dimensions like the chart of accounts. Another useful member list you can use is one called base, which allows you to get to the base level or the input level for a given dimension. HFM is financially intelligent. Dimensions have attributes, and the accounts have attributes such as revenue and expense. HFM is designed as a positive input system, but doesn't have to be. So in this example, we can see the trading income and the trading income other naturally aggregating up into gross revenue. So as soon as those base level data numbers are input, gross revenue, gross profit, EBITDA is populated. However, cost of sales is flagged as an expense. It has an attribute of an expense, so that will decrease as it rolls up into the gross profit. So what we'll see later on is when we set up our chart of accounts, we can specify the attributes of the accounts, and that will determine how they aggregate. Does the value increase or does it decrease based on the attribute or based on the sign convention that you use when you enter the data?